Hello everyone, it's Megan. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back round the cauldron. I need to create an intro or something that has a cauldron, or change the name of my YouTube channel. I don't know. Probably not changing the name. Everything is already around the cauldron. Anyway, yeah, welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. If you've never been here before, hi, my name is Megan and I talk about all things witchcraft, polytheism, sometimes parenting, and a bunch of random other stuff. Also, if you're returning, I'm experimenting with my look. I might blog about reasons behind it or whatever eventually, but that's not what this video is about. Today, I am taking inspiration from Ari the Oak Witch. I will leave a link to her channel in the description below. Sorry if you can hear that, they're doing construction stuff outside. But Ari recently did a video about 10 of her top witchy things, her top 10 witchy tools or something that she uses in her practice. And I wanted to do the same thing. I feel like it's interesting to see what other witches and other practitioners use in their practice and what they feel is important in their practice versus like what I feel is important in my practice. So Ari has said, if anybody does this video, let her know. So I encourage you, if you have a channel, do this video. Talk about your top 10 witchy tools that you use in your practice and let us know why. It's always very interesting to me to see what everybody finds important in their practice. And I don't use a lot of traditional tools. I don't have an athame. I don't have a besom. I don't like a broom that I have made. I just use my regular kitchen broom. I don't have a boline. I don't have anything specific to call the quarters. That's really not my practice. My practice is more centered around folk practices, I guess. It's not very ceremonial, not very ritualistic. So some of my tools might not make sense for you, but hey, I'm gonna talk about them. A lot of my tools are common, so let's talk about the common ones first. One of my favorite things that I recently got actually is an incense burner. And I've had many incense burners over the years, but I am fascinated with these waterfall incense burners. They don't work that great if there's a lot of airflow in the room because it just doesn't work right with the backflow incense. But when there's not a lot of airflow and the incense smoke really gets an opportunity to backflow and just flow down in whatever way it's supposed to, it's just absolutely beautiful. And it really helps me to focus if I use it as a meditative practice. If I sit in front of it while the smoke is flowing down along these like stepping stones on this particular incense burner. Now, incense and incense burners are great in my practice because I use a lot of incense for many different things. The dragon's blood is great for protection and cleansing. I have patchouli to help with communication, and I especially use that one if I'm doing tarot readings. And then I have some that I burn just because I like the way they smell, and I have a couple that I burn as offerings and use those on my altar spaces for my gods. The ones in particular that I use for offerings, if I have any on hand, those are going to be ones that I make myself. If you're interested in making your own incense, I'll leave a link up here, wherever, which side it's on, and in the description below to how I make my own incense if that's something you're interested in. The next thing on my list is my cauldron. I got this cauldron at a metaphysical shop here in my area, and I've only had a cauldron for like maybe the last year. It's not something that I really had before because they're kind of pricey, or at least all the ones that I have seen are kind of pricey, and I could never justify it. But we went to the occult store and I saw it, and my boyfriend's like, just get it, just buy it, you're gonna use it, just buy the damn thing. So I bought it. And it's become one of my favorite things to use because it provides a safe surface on the inside of my house, in my home, to burn papers and herbs and anything else that I need to burn. If you're going to use a cauldron, obviously use it safely. Have something underneath it that is heat proof. Put salt or sand in the bottom of your cauldron. Just cauldron safety, but that's not what this is about. I use my cauldron several times a month. The one time that it gets the most use is around the full moon, when I really do a good deep cleansing of my home and I re-up my wards. That is the one time where my cauldron gets like the most use. Number 3 is, I think, almost every witch's favorite thing to use, and that's going to be candles. I do a lot of candle spells and a lot of candle magic, and I just use a lot of candles in general. Candles are great in my practice. They are twofold. They're twofold because I use them in my magic and in my spell work, but I also use candles heavily in my deity work and my worship and honor of the gods that I work with. And candles are really versatile. And I love that I can find a candle in basically any color. Unless I'm looking for a black candle, I can only find those around Halloween, unless I go to a specialty store. God, I can't talk today. Anyway, yeah, candles. I got candles everywhere. And they serve another purpose in my home because they're good for my witchy things, they're good for my pagan stuff, but they're also good for when the power goes out if we have a storm. Like, you can always count on a witch that uses candles if the power goes out, because we got candles everywhere. So number four, we're gonna go with number 4 because I don't remember, is my garden. The plants that I'm growing, the plant allies that I work with, the dry herbs that I have. Here inside, I have a peppermint plant that I'm trying to nurse back to health. She did not like being outside once it started getting too warm, and she basically started dying and wilting and was just like, I give up, I'm done. Brought her inside, she's doing better now. I need to repot her, get rid of some of the dead growth. I also have a garden sage plant that I'm growing, and he's doing great. He loves being inside. They're both sitting next to the window, and they get their water. We share water. So if I'm drinking from a water bottle, they get the water from my water bottle. That's actually something I heard from Chaotic Witch Aunt, and I didn't know that anybody else did that. So yeah. Then outside, I am growing habanero peppers. I have a whole bag of habanero peppers in my freezer that I need to make hot sauce out of. They're also really, really good for a couple different things in witchcraft. In my practice, they can do both sides. I use habanero peppers in healing, where there's a lot of maybe inflammation going on, and it can really help to clear those pathways. But then on the other side, they're also really freaking spicy, and they're really hot. So if you need to add a little bit of spice to something and maybe heat somebody up a little bit, habanero peppers are great for that too. What else am I growing? Blueberries. My rosemary is outside. She's doing great. I'm also regrowing these clovers in this pot outside. So clearing my garden. I have said before, I am a big fan of the Seek app by iNaturalist. I'll leave a link below because it can help you identify plants, animals, insects, and different things like that in your area. It uses your phone's camera, and I don't know how it works, honestly, but it's great. Obviously, don't trust it 100%. Double check that whatever it's telling you is true. But anyway, I use the Seek app on this particular flower that is just growing everywhere in my yard. And come to find out, it's a type of clover. So when I'm digging up the space for my garden, I put them in this pot and hoped that they would regrow. And they did. They rooted. They're doing great. And I saved them, basically, because I didn't want to just toss them out. I also have several different dry herbs on my shelf in my kitchen. I use a lot of the dry herbs, and I'm even drying my own herbs from what I'm growing. But herbs are great. They're depending on which herb it is, obviously. I use them in a lot of different spells, and it's a great additive for all of my spell work and any magic that I'm doing. Obviously, you don't have to use herbs, but I don't know where my practice would be right now without all of the herbs that I have, doubly so the ones that I'm growing myself. I think when you grow your own herbs, if you have that option, you really cultivate the relationship with that plant and that spirit of the plant. And then in my experience, I have found that plants that you grow yourself are maybe more powerful in your spell work just because you already have a relationship with them, and if it's a positive one and built on reciprocity, they're more likely to help you in your spell work. Now, this next one is specific to me and any other fiber artists out there, because then my next witchy tool that I use is my crochet hooks. My yarn needles, my hooks, my stitch markers. Do you know what kind of witchcraft you can do with yarn? Even if you don't crochet or you don't knit, think of the knot magic. It's fantastic. Even if you just want to take a piece of yarn in a certain color that corresponds with whatever you're doing or whatever you want to bring into your day. Maybe if you're looking for, I don't know, some confidence. Take a bit of blue and wrap that around your wrist and tie it and make a little bracelet. If blue doesn't work for you, pick a color that works for you. If you want to bring some happiness or some joy, use yellow. If you're looking to bring in some more money, maybe you're going to a job interview, tie some green yarn or some green thread somewhere on your person and bring that into your life using glamour magic and color correspondences. For me, my yarn is mostly knot magic. If I'm making something for a specific purpose, I really meditate on what that is and bring that intention and that energy into every single stitch that I do. And I have entire pieces with very specific intentions and purposes. If you can make it with yarn, you can use it in witchcraft, poppets, spell bags. I recently did a spell bag for healing after my surgery, and you can find that up here or down in the description below, wherever you want to look. I find that maybe that's an unconventional one for a majority of witches, but if you do any sort of crafting or any sort of artistic stuff, how do you use that in your practice? Let me know in the description. Let me know in the comments below if you incorporate any magic or spell work into your crafts, whatever you do. Because it leads into the next one that I'm going to talk about, which is bandanas. And I guess more specifically, veils. So this is something that I've been experimenting with for a couple of months. And I don't veil all the time. Obviously, I'm not wearing one right now, but I make them. And so when I make them in a specific color, they're for specific things in my practice. But making them myself brings that personal touch into the veil that I'm doing. And it allows me to get in touch with the energy of the veil and the energy that I want to bring into it. I guess I kind of just repeated myself, but it makes it more personal, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I have an example here. This is an orange one that I made. This is not mine. I will not show mine on camera unless I'm wearing it. But they're very simple, but it is becoming one of my favorite things in my practice. And it's not necessarily for religious purposes. It can be, but I haven't really felt called to veil or cover my head or my hair by any deities, especially not Bridget that I work with. But if I ever were to be called to do that, then I have options. Right now, the veil is one that I wear when I'm feeling overwhelmed with energy, or if I know I'm going to be feeling overwhelmed. It's a barrier. It's a barrier. We'll just call it that. It's an energetic barrier, and it adds to the shielding that I already do. And I guess I'll just plug it a little bit. I actually sell them, so you can find that in my shop if you are interested in them. But yeah, they're quickly becoming one of my favorite things, and that's why I've included them on this list. Okay, next is books. I could. I prefer not to be without books. I don't have a lot of physical books. I use Scribed a lot, which is like a library service for digital books and ebooks and stuff that you pay for. I pay like $10 a month, and there are so many occult, pagan, and witchcraft books on there, but also there are so many other non-fiction historical books, ecological books. I always recommend to just don't stick to just witchcraft books. Don't stick to just spell books and books written by occult authors. While they're great and they're fantastic, I really think it's beneficial to branch out and read other things. Read the history, read the folklore, read about ecology and the environment. Read about your local area. I'm still trying to find a really good book for Florida's history and Florida's environment. I haven't found one yet that I think really will do the job. But books, hands down, are a great resource, one of my favorite tools because I read them and then I look in the bibliography and then I get more books to read and then get more books. It's this whole cycle. But you can learn so much, and even if you aren't reading the book to incorporate whatever it is into your practice, it's still beneficial to learn about other things, especially if they are in the community. I'm always an advocate for learning, whether that be book learning, hands-on learning, and books are just one way that you can learn. Books also help support the community because the authors are part of our community. So when you buy books by authors in the community, you're helping support the community. Buy the books or borrow them from your library or read them on Scribed. Don't pirate them. I've talked about that before. But yeah, books. Books. I love books. Speaking of books, I'm currently reading like 4 different books. What am I reading right now? Bridget by Courtney Weber. Lou by Morgan Daimler, Intuitive Witchcraft by Estrella Taylor, Irish Witchcraft by Laura O'Brien. I feel like there's one I'm missing. There probably is one I'm missing, but I'm always reading at least one book. The next thing on my list would be my journals, and I have 3 of them over here. These are just 3 of my physical ones. I also have a digital book of shadows and a digital sort of everyday journal. These ones here are more specific to my practice, and I'm not going to show you what's inside because they're personal, but each one serves a different purpose. So this first one here is just sort of jotting down notes, things that I need to remember, dates, feelings, different things like that. This second one here is more of an everyday journal. I do my daily tarot reading in here, my weekly tarot reading, any sort of spell work that I'm doing, small things like that will go in this journal. And then the third one that I have here is one that I actually made myself. I put it together in Canva, and I actually uploaded it to Amazon so that I could have a print copy. And it is my daily meditation journal. You can actually get one of these if you want because it's on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description below if you really want to get one. But mainly I created it for myself to have a space to specifically keep track of meditations. It's got all of these different lines. It's got plenty of space for me to write about my meditation or any sort of journeying that I do. And I feel like keeping track of all of this stuff is extremely important. One, it's really important for me because it gives me a record and I can remember things because, like I said, I don't know what's going on with my memory. But it also serves the extra purpose of creating sort of like a timeline. If I am trying to keep track of a habit or specific offerings or a specific spell that I'm doing, having a space where you can write about your experiences over the course of days, weeks, and even months gives you a great learning tool and a great reflection tool, because you can go back and see how it started and where you are now. And it gives you things to think about in terms of maybe things need to change. Maybe you missed a step. Maybe you need to add an ingredient or take out an ingredient. I love looking back at journals and looking back and seeing how far I have come and how things have changed. And you know, you're human, I'm human, so our practices are going to change and grow and evolve with us as we change, grow, and evolve. Now, I don't have any of my journals from when I first started Wicca and witchcraft in my early teens because I was not in a good mental space for a while after that. And I actually ended up throwing everything away, which I deeply regret doing. So that's why it's doubly important for me to keep track of this stuff now and really hold on to it. Plus, it's also great if you plan on passing information down to children or future generations or even somebody else that you're really close to, because then you have a written record. They can see how it's worked before and try different things or keep things the same. I will always advocate for keeping journals, and it is something that I use heavily every single day. Then we have tarot decks. I use tarot every day too. I have 3 tarot decks and an oracle deck. I'm kind of about the oracle deck. It's okay. I don't really connect with it very much. I think the reason being is because it's the Celtic Tree Oracle, and while the images are beautiful, it uses the Ogham with them, and the meanings aren't the traditional meanings of the Ogham Feta. So it really throws me off, and I can't really connect to it because I'm learning Ogham, but then using the Celtic Tree Oracle with the Ogham with a completely different meaning for the card, it just throws me off. But right now I only have 3 tarot decks. I'm waiting for another one that hopefully will be coming soon. I pre-ordered it and I'm excited to show it to you all when it gets here because it's fantastic. But I have the Wild Unknown, the Shadowscapes deck, and the Robert Hansen tarot deck. I use them every day. I use them for reflection. I use them for conversations with Bridget. I use them for conversations with my higher self and my subconscious. And I use them for conversations with my ancestors. I also do professional readings and I read for other people. So those are really important in my practice. While they may be a small thing, they are something that I use every day. Lastly, and this one's kind of funny and it works really well for me because of my life and just the way my days go. The one tool that I use every day without fail is my French press. Yes, you heard me right. My French press coffee maker. Coffee is such a staple in my life. I have coffee every day. Right now, I'm drinking my iced coffee. But it's such a staple in my life. And since it's something that I do every day, I tend to ritualize it and turn it into a magical brew, a potion, if you would like to call it a potion. The main ingredient obviously stays the same. It's coffee. But I also have the opportunity to add extra things to it. coffee with turmeric and cinnamon tastes amazing, but it's also great to boost my focus and productivity for the day, to give me sort of that extra kick in the ass that I need if I'm procrastinating on something. You can add all kinds of stuff to your coffee. And when you add herbs and spices to your coffee and brew it that way, then you add the hot water and you steep it and you charge it and you say your spell or you think your spell, or just add energy to it, or however you do it. I like to speak my spell over my coffee and tell it what I want from it, besides keeping me awake all day. So yeah, my French press is one of my favorite things that I use in my witchcraft practice. So those are my top 10 favorite witchy items. They're in no particular order, and honestly, if you would ask me, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks from now, they're gonna change. They change all the time. My practice isn't ceremonial, so, I just sort of go with the flow. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite witchy tools are. If you would like to have more conversations with other witchy people, join my Discord server. The link for that is in the description below. It's slowly growing and there are a lot of amazing people there. We have all different types of conversations. We're open for questions. We will give you honest answers, sources, citations, no gatekeeping. My community is open. It is an inclusive community. Unless you're a trash human and you are homophobic, transphobic, racist, fascist, any of that stuff, I don't want you there. But definitely inclusive, and I hope to see everybody there that wants to join in and have these conversations. Again, thank you so much to Ari for doing the original video for this sort of tag challenge thing. Make sure you check out her channel. The link for that is in the description below, and I will see you all next time.